Hey everyone, tonight we're stepping into the raucous, smoky, and slightly sticky universe of the medieval tavern, the unspoken pulse of every village. It's the unofficial newsstand, gossip mill, and the only spot where a knight, a farmer, and a bard could all drink until they're equally tipsy, and equally picked. It wasn't merely a drinking den. Here, laughter, danger, and illness danced together under one thatched roof. But before we start, take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if you really enjoy this kind of journey. And drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and what time it is right now. I love seeing how wide our little circle truly stretches. Now, dim the lights, maybe let a fan hum quietly in the background, and let's slip into this story together. You've slogged through muddy alleys that reek of horses, smoke, and a suspicious kind of soup. Naturally, it's raining, or just finished, so every stone is slick, including your only pair of shoes. You're tired, hungry, and narrowly avoided being flattened by a cart of turnips. You need a drink. So, how do you find a tavern here? No glowing signs, no online reviews, and definitely no GPS. What you do have, your ears. Somewhere past the blacksmith's hammer and the fishmonger shouting about fresh eels. You catch loud laughter, shouting, and someone enthusiastically singing about a goose. And then you see it, a crooked timber building leaning as though even the walls had a bit too much ale. Hanging over the doorway, a wooden sign, barely legible, with something painted on it. Maybe a barrel, maybe a bear, or both. Either way, you've arrived. Welcome to the tavern. As you step through the heavy oak door, the world outside, cold, wet, and grey, fades behind you. The air inside hits you first, thick with smoke, sweat, and the sweet sour temps of spilled ale soaking into straw-covered floors. Your eyes need a moment to adjust. Candles gutter in iron sconces, casting shadows that dance on walls blackened by years of soot and careless laughter. All around, the tavern is alive in a way the muddy streets never could be. It hums with voices layered atop each other. A farmer bargaining away a chicken for a mug of ale. Two travelers comparing blisters from the road. A bard tuning a battered lute that's seen more rain than applause. The laughter here isn't polite. It crashes out of throats hoarse from shouting over anvils or calling cattle. It's real, raw, and carries that curious power to warm bones chilled by long days and longer winters. Wooden beams overhead bend slightly under the weight of years, and tonight, the weight of two half-drunk men wrestling in the loft above. A dog sleeps near the hearth, one ear twitching every so often, as if it dreams of scraps that might fall. And somewhere by the smoky fireplace, an old woman pours ale from a barrel into cups that haven't been properly cleaned since last harvest. You find a corner table half broken, its surface carved with dozens of initials and crude drawings. Your hand traces the grooves left by drinkers long gone. Each letter a tiny ghost whispering stories you'll never hear. A serving maid passes by, carrying a tray brimming with wooden mugs that slosh and spill, leaving trails of dark liquid. Her dress is patched and faded, but there's a quickness in her eyes. She's learned, perhaps the hard way, to dodge pinches and clumsy hands. Nearby, a pair of merchants lean close, talking in low voices about grain prices and rumors of bandits on the road. At the same time, a young boy sneaks around tables, hoping for forgotten crusts or coins dropped by drunken hands. His bare feet barely make a sound against the rushes scattered across the floor to soak up whatever spills can be wiped away. The ceiling drips slightly from rain that finds its way through old thatch, but no one minds. They've all seen worse. And anyway, tonight there's music. The bard has finally coaxed his lute into tune and begins a song about a fox, a miller, and the miller's unfortunate daughter. The tune is simple, catchy, the kind of melody even the tiredest tongue can hum after 3 cups of ale. Someone laughs too loudly at the punchline, spilling half his drink down his shirt. Across the room, an argument flares over dice that, suspiciously, seem to always roll high for the same player. Voices rise. A bench scrapes back. For a heartbeat, it seems the night might turn violent. But then, just as quickly, the tension fades. A joke is tossed into the heat of it, and the men slump back down, muttering ale sloshing from refilled mugs. The fight, like so much in tavern life, remains unfinished. A spark, not a blaze. Here, time bends. The outside world, lords, taxes, wars, spoken of in rumor, feels far away. What matters is now, the weight of a warm mug in your hand, the promise of laughter, and the hope, however small, that the stew won't taste quite so watered down tonight. At some point, hunger pushes itself louder than thirst. You catch the serving maid's eye, a brief nod, practiced from nights like this. Soon enough, She returns balancing a chipped wooden bowl, steam curling into the smoky air. The stew inside is humble, a broth thickened with barley, floating scraps of cabbage, a piece of salted pork tough enough to test your teeth. But it's hot, and the warmth seeps into you like forgiveness after a hard day. The bread on the side is yesterday's, crust like stone, but you dip it into the stew until it softens enough to chew while you eat. The tavern keeps living around you, mugs thunking down, laughter cracking like kindling, whispers curling between shadows. Behind the bar, a grey-bearded keeper wipes mugs with a cloth that's seen more ale than water. His eyes track everything: who's too drunk to pay, who's carrying a dagger, whose purse bulges just enough to tempt quick fingers. In the far corner, 3 men huddle over dice, knuckles white around cups as though they could shake fortune itself from the bone. The oldest of them spits on the floor each time the roll betrays him, a silent curse offered to any god listening. The youngest keeps glancing over his shoulder as if afraid of being recognized, or of being caught cheating. A peddler comes through the door, cloak dripping rain, breath smoking in the candlelight. He opens a leather pouch, revealing scraps of ribbon, pins shaped like birds, tiny glass beads that flash like jewels in the flickering light. For a moment, the tavern's roar quiets as eyes drift his way, not because they truly need trinkets, but because every soul here, even the poorest, yearns for something small and beautiful to hold. Outside, wind rattles the shutter so hard it sounds like knocking. Someone jokes about spirits wanting in. Another mutters a prayer under his breath, fingers brushing the worn wooden charm hanging from his neck. Superstition clings thick here like the smoke, bad luck and good omens traded as easily as gossip. The bard finishes one song and rolls into another, voice low and slow, words painting a story of a night betrayed by love and wine. Around the room, heads nod. Even those who pretend not to listen catch the refrain, lips moving silently. Songs here aren't just for music, they're memory, warning, confession. A farmer near the hearth leans back, mug balanced on his belly, eyes half shut in the flicker of firelight. His boots steam gently, drying from mud and rain, while a mongrel at his feet sighs and curls tighter. Across from him, a woman with hair braided tight keeps one hand on her purse at all times, glancing at the door whenever it creaks. Maybe waiting for someone, maybe hoping they don't come. Hours slip past, marked not by clocks, there are none here, but by the lowering of candles, the hoarsening of voices, and the steady weight of ale pulling limbs down. Some leave early, pulled home by duty or fear. Others settle in stubbornly, faces red, speech softening into slurs and half-finished thoughts. And you sit a little longer, bowl scraped clean, cup refilled with ale that tastes rough but honest. The fire warms your front, the heat of the room, your back. And for a moment, in this smoky, worn place, life feels lighter. The world outside, with its taxes, plague, lords, and rain, can wait. As the night deepens, the tavern breathes in a slower rhythm. The boisterous laughter softens to murmurs, words trailing off into pauses heavy with ale and old regrets. The air grows thicker, layered with sweat, spilled drink, and the faint burn of the fire smoldering low. At a table near the hearth, a man who claimed he'd only stay for one quick mug is now slumped forward, forehead pressed to the sticky wood. His friends prod him half-heartedly, debating whether to carry him home or leave him to snore among the embers. Outside, rain drums on the thatch in steady rhythm, leaking through a crack that drips into a forgotten mug on the floor. A woman whose voice rang sharp earlier now hums quietly to herself, eyes unfocused, mug forgotten in her hand. Her song carries no tune but weaves around the flickering candles, softening the air like a lullaby meant only for herself. In another corner, the dice players have dwindled to 2, one man rolling with a feverish desperation, the other watching with a stillness that hints at either pity or calculation. The barkeep moves slower now, shoulders heavy, yet his eyes remain quick. Each cup refilled, each cuppa collected, each glance sweeping the room for trouble. He knows this dance, where to pour generously, where to water down, when to laugh at a joke, and when to step back before fists fly. By the doorway, a traveler dozes upright, chin to chest, cloak pulled tight. His boots are cracked, soles near splitting, yet his hand never strays far from the dagger hidden beneath the fold of his cloak. No one bothers him. Travelers bring stories and coins, and sometimes, trouble best left undisturbed. Somewhere, the bard rests his lute against the wall and steps outside, seeking fresh air or perhaps a moment alone to remember why he plays at all. A gust of rain-chilled wind follows him back inside, curling around ankles and stirring the rushes on the floor. Time here has no chime or bell. The night stretches, held only by flickering flames and the slow burn of ale in empty stomachs. Slowly bodies thin out. Those with homes stumble into the wet streets, voices carrying down alleys until swallowed by darkness. Those without homes curl near the hearth, feet tucked beneath cloaks, hoping the barkeep will turn a blind eye until dawn. By now the candles gutter low, their flames trembling as if unsure they want to keep burning. Shadows grow longer, deeper, hiding old scars on tables and new secrets whispered over mugs. A dog shifts in its sleep, paws twitching toward dreams of bone or chase. Outside, the rain slows to a drizzle, mist hugging the ground. A rooster crows too early, its voice raspy, as if testing the air before the real morning. Inside the tavern finally exhales, the night's energy sinking into embers and echoes, and then, almost without warning, dawn begins. Grey light seeps in, slipping through cracks and dirty panes. It brushes over faces slack in sleep, mugs abandoned mid-drink, a lute missing 2 strings resting by the door. The fire is little more than glowing ash, but its warmth lingers, stubborn as hope. The barkeep stretches a stiff back, eyes red from smoke and sleeplessness. He steps outside to see the village waking, crows picking at scraps, carts creaking over mud, a sky still undecided between rain and sun. Inside, the smell of last night lingers, ale, sweat, laughter, fear, but mingling with it, faint but real, comes the morning scent of baking bread from somewhere down the road. For a heartbeat, standing in the quiet, you feel the truth of this place. A tavern isn't just for walls and ale. It's where stories find breath, where strangers become brothers for an hour, where songs soothe hearts harder than the floor they sleep on. And as the day begins, you step back out into mud and grey light. A little warmer, a little heavier with memory, and already half listening for the next door that opens, the next fire that beckons. Stepping out, the morning air bites sharper than you remember, waking nerves dulled by warmth and ale. The tavern door creaks shut behind you, swallowing the last glow of fire and the hush of tired laughter. Streets glisten from night rain, mud thick enough to pull at your boots. Carts trundle by, wheels groaning under sacks of barley and onions. A milkmaid hurries past, skirts lifted just enough to keep them dry, her breath fogging in the dawn chill. Overhead, grey clouds loom low, undecided whether to break into rain or drift silently toward the next village. Chimneys smoke lazily, blending into mist that wraps the thatched roofs and half-timbered walls in soft blur. You pass doorways darkened by old soot, windows shuttered against cold, and signs swinging gently. A boar, a boot, a cluster of grapes half fated by years of weather. Each tavern, each shop, each crooked alley tells a piece of a story older than memory. Voices stir as shutters creak open. Someone curses at a stubborn goat. Another greets the day with half-sung prayer. The village wakes not with fanfare but with small, familiar noises. Sweeping brooms, sparrows squabbling over crumbs, the clink of a blacksmith's hammer far off. Some faces you recognize from the tavern, heads bowed now, eyes blinking in new light. Their laughter belongs to last night. Today brings other worries, debts, broken fences, a sick child at home. Beyond the market square, a small church stands, its bell yet to ring. A priest steps outside, robes smelling faintly of incense and damp stone. He nods, offering no words but the comfort of shared routine. A dog trots past, nose to ground, coat still wet from morning puddles. Children trail behind, too young to understand hunger as more than a passing ache, chasing one another with sticks turned swords. For a moment the village feels suspended, caught between the hush of night and the grind of day. You walk on, boots squelching, hands buried deep in your cloak. The weight of last night's warmth lingers in your chest, softening edges worn rough by work and worry. Memory clings, a song half remembered, the glow of embers, the smell of barley stew. And though nothing changes, the mud's still deep, the sky still grey, the coin pouch still light, something inside feels steadier. Because what the tavern truly gives isn't just ale or warmth or song. It offers proof, fleeting but real, that even the poorest life holds sparks of light, shared laughter over cracked mugs, stories traded like coins, strangers turning, for a night, into a chorus louder than any silence. You keep walking, guided less by destination than by habit. Cobblestones, slick with morning mist, reflect pale light like tarnished silver. The market comes into view, a loose sprawl of carts and canvas, barrels stacked high and crates propped on stones to keep them out of mud. Vendors speak in half voices at first, testing throats rough from cold sleep, before rising to their daytime chorus. Prices barked, blessings offered, curses muttered, when coin purses stay closed. You pause beside a barrel of apples, bruised but still sweet. The merchant eyes you, measuring hunger against the weight of your coin pouch. You shake your head, moving on, the thought of the tavern's thin stew echoing faintly in your stomach. Nearby, a woman sells ribbons the color of fading dusk. Her fingers move quickly, tying bows even as her eyes drift across the square, watching for someone, or simply daydreaming. Two boys chase each other around her stall, laughter spilling brighter than morning light. Beyond them, a blacksmith's forge spits sparks into the air, steel singing under hammer blows. Even at this hour, there is always something that must be mended. A bent hinge, a broken buckle, a plow that can't wait for spring. Smoke curls upward, catching in the low breeze. For a heartbeat, it smells like the tavern hearth, and your mind drifts back to the fire, the music, the press of bodies warm with drink and story. But the day demands your feet keep moving. You pass a beggar huddled in a cloak patched so often it's become more patched than cloth. His eyes meet yours, not with hope but recognition, the quiet brotherhood of those who know one too well. Further on, a priest blesses passing carts with a murmured prayer, hand sketching signs into the air as if stitching safety from the morning fog. A mother hushes her child beside him, pulling the little one closer with hands that look too thin for winter. You glance upward. The sky has lightened, though clouds still gather like thoughts you'd rather not name. Somewhere beyond them, the sun waits, patient as always, stubborn in its return. And you walk on, steps slower now, weighed by memories of laughter that ended too soon, and by the steady pull of the day ahead, work that will grind the softness from your thoughts until dusk. Yet under that weight, something small endures, a chord of songs still vibrating in your chest, a warmth left by shared stories and clumsy toasts, a hope, foolish maybe, fragile surely, that tonight, after sweat and worry and cold, the tavern door will open again. And so the day unfolds, not as some grand tale sung by bards in castles, but as a quiet labor measured in footsteps and calluses, in lifted crates and lowered heads. But the tavern remains, not just the one you left behind, with its crooked beams and smoky hearth, but all taverns, everywhere, each one a flicker of warmth stitched into the cold fabric of this world. They wait behind warped doors and faded signs, tucked between sorrow and survival, offering no promises, only presence. They are the sanctuaries of the tired and the almost forgotten, places where time slows enough for a story to bloom, where a broken shoe, an empty purse, or a sleepless soul still finds welcome, not out of charity, but recognition, because we are all, in some way, travelers caught in the downpour, all looking for firelight through the mist, all hoping that when the door creaks open, there will be a mug, a melody, and maybe, just maybe, a name remembered. And tomorrow, the road will stretch again, unforgiving and wide. The work will return, the aches, the silence, but for now, in memory, the tavern door is still open. The fire still burns, the song still plays, and your place, carved faintly into the wood of a table that has held thousands of elbows and stories, is still there, waiting.